Step 1, print off your numbers. I've printed mine onto craft sticker paper because it's quite vintage. I just cut mine out with scissors, but you could use a guillotine if you like. But I find scissors are nice and easy to use because then you can make them close to the number as possible. Punch out your little circles of card, and then if you like you can make them all vintagey using some ink, and stick your number stickers on top of your little circles. It doesn't have to be circles, you can cut out little squares of card instead. This is how to make the little house embellishments. I think are really cute. I've made some into printable so that you can just print those off and cut them out as stickers or on cards and add them to your journal. Alternatively, you can make them yourself. I made my little embellishments from pieces of cereal box, and then I stuck onto there some vintage music sheet which I distressed with ink, and I added some little pieces of card for the doors. I used pen to make some marks on those, and then for the roofs I used cereal box, but I used some patterned paper that I had. I've cut my cereal packet into little oblongs and squares, and I've got absolutely loads to play with. This project is absolutely brilliant for recycling. There's no waste at all because you can even use the tiniest little scraps for your windows and doors. I used a glue stick to stick my paper onto my cereal packet. So we're going to take some little rectangles of the card that we've cut out from our cereal packet, and we're also going to use like the tops, the bottoms and the sides of the box as well. So for the main body of the house, we're going to cover these in some of the music sheet because I'm making them in more of a vintage design. Give it a good coverage, make sure that it goes to the edge, and we'll pop it onto the music sheet. Make sure it's well stuck down and then cut around. For the roof, I've been using the top strips and the bottom strips because they're a little bit thinner. I cover the whole strip because I'm making quite a few of these. I'm using some pre-printed paper here. If you've got your own printables or you've got some collage material, you can use that instead. But I've got this lovely red checkered paper that I wanted to use. And then, just like with the music sheet, I cut around the edge, and this will make my roof. Now, before I stick it on, because I'm making this vintagey, I'm going to use some of this Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo onto there. If you don't want to be constantly cleaning your work surface, and use paper, and that will keep your workspace nice and clean. So there we go, I'm just going to ink it around like that, and I'm going to get my roof and decide what sort of size and shape. I want it to overhang very slightly, and I'm going to cut inward like that. Because I've cut that, I can then use this to angle, so I'll get the same angle on both sides like that. And what I'm going to do then is just use the ink again to vintage it up. Then I'm going to stick my little roof onto my house, and I'm actually going to use a different glue for this because I think it needs to be a little bit stronger. So what I do is just add a little bit of glue to the top of my house here, and then just pop my roof in place until it's in a position that I like the look of. It may squish out the back because it's wet glue. That seems okay. And obviously, the further onto the piece of card you put it, the more stable it's going to be because it's gripped a bit more. I've used one of those tiny pieces of card, those little strips, to add myself a little door, and I've added that with the wet glue too, and then just drawn around it with a fine liner and added myself a little doorknob. And that's my first little house complete. So you can make as many of those as you like, and they're going to be added into our journal.